Wow, when there is blood in the streets, make sure to check your sheets. Guys, we have so much to get into. Absolute madman emergency mode. Bitcoin dropping the most that it has fell in months in some very, very quick candles. We have a lot to get into. In fact, we have one chart that we have actually not pulled out in a very long time that we need to show you here on this very zoomed out. We have some very key things to look at. Some very interesting things because Bitcoin is getting a small bounce currently at the $8,800 level. Why exactly? Okay, could that be the bottom? You can see this actually came all the way down, and currently this candle is going up, guys, but we have to look at this. Will this bounce continue, and will we continue to go higher, or is there more downside to come? Guys, we need to take a look at this potential gap. There is so much debate over these gaps and if they need to be filled, but we do still have a very miniature gap down at this $8,500 level that has not been filled. Will that be filled? Does it need to be filled? And in fact, is there yet another gap that we need to look at, guys? Definitely a lot of things to look at on that chart. Bitcoin still within this very nice looking, albeit very, very sharp and pretty scary looking handle of this potential cup and handle. Actually still along this trend line here and actually currently bouncing right at the 200-day moving average as well. So a lot to get into with that. And guys, we need to take a look at this zoomed out chart. There are some key things. We actually have not looked at this chart in months, okay? This is key. And there's a lot of data we want to show you on this more longer term picture here. The bear market pullback of 2018 going into the beginning of 2019 brought us all the way down to the 200-day moving average. And now we're at a key fighting level that we need to maintain. And as well, after getting a golden cross, is it even possible? Does this even happen that after getting a golden cross, we get a pullback back to that 200-day moving average like we saw today? Has that happened before? So much to get into. Let's do it. Wow, thank you guys so much for joining me here for this special emergency update. This is actually a very special day for me. And it's days like this that I'm just thankful because I actually did, for a very brief period last night, overdose on Capri Sun. This market has made me so excited and so anxious that I was just chugging these bad boys. I had about 36 Capri Suns in less than 35 minutes. It was absolutely insane. My entire family performed CPR on me for about an hour straight before I finally exploded the Capri Sun out of my mouth and I came back to consciousness. It was absolutely wild. You know, if you just drink too much juice, sometimes some bad things can happen, guys. So without any further ado, we have a lot we have to talk about in this video, okay? First things first, it is the end of the month and we're still doing the giveaways on this channel for the Ledger, but guys, we're also doing one on Twitter. So if you want to enter for that one, guys, we've already done about, I think, 2 or 3 on Twitter over the past month or two. So yeah, you guys know the drill. All you have to do is go over there and you can enter. The rules are right there, guys. So make sure to follow on Twitter and check that out. And as well, if you do want to enter for the one on YouTube, all you got to do is leave a comment below. And guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Turn on the dings, and let's get into the dings. So you guys, we have a lot to look at on this picture. Clearly, if this was in fact a descending channel or a bull flag, whatever it was, it clearly broke out here, guys, okay? So that is the first thing you notice. Now we have to transition to our other charts because every other chart that we have is still intact. We wanted to start off with that one because that one has been absolutely exploded, absolutely gutted. You see this potential cup and handle, okay? The handle still looking decent, but as you can see right here, if we take a zoom in, you can see right now currently holding exactly on this 200-day moving average, which is key. We mentioned this, $8,800, absolutely key. Okay, this was huge. And then we have that other target where this box pretty much bottoms out. This is the absolute lowest we can go in this pullback and still remain optimistic. So actually what I want to switch to now, because I have a lot I want to talk about, especially this chart. This is what I'm very excited to talk about. This is absolutely new content that we have not covered recently. But on this chart here, I want to show you this. Back in the beginning to the middle of 2015, when that bull market was getting started, it had a golden cross, okay? It was right here. 50-day moving average coming above this 200-day moving average. Now, as soon as that happened, we got rejected. We actually, we went below that again. And we actually had, before that even went below it, right after the golden cross here, before any other negative crosses or anything, the price absolutely went below the 50-day moving average and the 200 and actually went from, what is this, about $300 to $200, okay? Just getting sliced right in half. And then what happened, we had actually a death cross, and then pretty much a few days later, another golden cross, and then that was really the beginning of this parabolic bull market. So just because we have a golden cross, and then we dip below and come all the way down to the 200-day moving average, isn't necessarily a bad sign. In fact, in the beginning of the last bull market, when that did happen, we plunged much below this 200-day moving average. So in the beginning of it, a similar scenario, we actually plummeted much below this area right here. Okay, so and as of right now, we're still maintaining right on top of this 200-day moving average. Now, if that does not hold, there are still some key things that can, be indicative of still some very good pressure here. But we also notice it did temporarily actually go below this moving average. Right now, it seems to have stabilized for the time being, but definitely worth noting, it did come all the way down to our key level here, the very bottom of this channel, okay? 1, 2, and 3 of the market structure. And here it did come all the way down and dips its toes right here. So that is absolutely crucial right there. We did get a little bit of a bounce there, but guys, this move is so new. Okay, by the time this video gets out by tonight, by tomorrow, we need to see a lot of moves, okay? The volatility, when it pumps, it dumps, and when it dumps, it pumps. So what that means is we expect another move. We should be seeing a strong bounce at some point here, okay? Within the next 48 hours, I think that's definitely likely. But at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have hit the bottom right now at the 8,800. Actually, we dipped all the way down to about 85 right here, or 86 on some charts and 85 on some charts as well. But again, we take a look at this. If this is where the gap is on the CMA futures chart right here, you can kind of see, let me actually zoom in so you guys can get a good picture of this. So basically what the gap is, and I can just explain this quick, is just, trading here. And then when I opened, closed here on the weekend. And when I opened on the week, you see there's a gap there, a small gap. And usually for some reason, these gaps tend to be filled. Again, it's most likely because of volatility. Bitcoin just goes up and down so much that these gaps happen to be filled. Or some people believe that it's absolutely necessary that the gaps have to get filled. So maybe leave a comment below with your opinion on the matter. Do you think it's absolutely necessary, or do you think, it could go either way? Now, okay, so let's take a look at that. So that happened all the way back on January 27th. So literally about almost exactly a month later, we're coming down potentially to see this, okay? Now, we didn't come down on this chart here. We did come down to like 85 and 86 on some exchanges, but it doesn't look like on this one, we didn't, okay? It came down to the 87 so far. So that one is not showing that we came all the way down. And guys, something else, I'm not sure if many people noticed this, but there is a potential another gap down here at the 77. Now, again, I am still, I'm not totally sure if these gaps, I don't think there's any way to know for sure. I try to listen to both sides, that these gaps are because of volatility or it's because they have to be filled. I'm still undecided. I think for the most part, obviously they do get filled because that's what happened. But at the same time, is it absolutely necessary that they have to get filled? Remember that this future chart has only been around really since the end of 2017. Okay, we take a zoom back, started pretty much the last month of 2017. So this is still a rather new phenomenon here. But yeah, you can see there are quite a few gaps, and historically they do tend to get filled. Now, interesting on this chart, if we go down to like the 77, this is very debatable, okay? This one, technically, it could have been filled, but it also looks like maybe it hasn't. So if we really take a zoom in here, you can see there was a gap here, and then we did have it come all the way down here. But if we zoom in this much, you guys can see how zoomed in we have to see here. Technically, it looks like there might still be a little bit of a gap right here, okay? You can see that here. And again, if we transpose that and just bring it to where we are now currently in the market, okay, we can take a look. This is what it looks like, guys. Now, 77 would be absolutely crazy. If we even got below 8,000, I think it would be crazy. Another $300. If that did happen, the only way I think that could happen is if it's a very quick wick. I do not think if that did happen, we could spend much time down there. If we did spend a lot of time down there, that would be chaos. Okay, mainly because key market structure would be broken and this trend would be absolutely changed. Remember, the trend is your friend until the end, and don't send pictures of yourself to people that you cannot trust. Absolutely the case. So guys, definitely make sure to let me know what you think about these gaps. Do you think they have to be filled? And do you think we could even come down to this 85 or potentially the 77 worst case, guys, before we absolutely moonshot up? I will say this, if the momentum is strong enough, and if we did get a wick down to 77, quickly back up to at least 82 and above, I could see that, again, remaining extremely healthy. It would have to be very quick. There's a certain way that would have to happen, and there are many situations where we go down to that level that it would be absolutely horrible if that did happen. But there are some bullish scenarios if that would happen. So it would not be the end of the world, but it very well could be if some other bad things did happen there. So guys, now I want to transition to this chart and show you this. This is absolutely key in my opinion. We want to show you in the weekly, but let's actually go back, okay? Look at this trend that has been intact really since, going back at least 5 years. Look at this uptrend that this one single line hits, over and over and over again. Look at this. You see it, the price of Bitcoin just hanging on there. We get a pullback strictly to here. Okay, this was back in the end of 2018, the beginning of 2019. The local bottom, the bottom so far for this market. Again, I don't think we'll ever go back to these levels. Okay, here, and then look where the trend brings us now. Interestingly enough, okay, the bottom of this channel is actually right at that 78, 7,700 US dollar range. So again, absolute lowest we can go and remain intact. We have people throwing out some crazy numbers right now, okay? But I'm just gonna be honest, in my opinion, the absolute lowest that we could spend a very, very small amount of time before shooting back up and still remaining extremely optimistic would have to be that $78 or $7,700 level. 82 is basically like the lowest we can go and maintain for a prolonged period of time. But yeah, we're looking at that here. And most importantly, what I want to show you on this chart, okay, the 50-day moving average right now is where we saw this bounce. But what we actually notice on this chart is the 200, or sorry, that was the 50-week moving average. The 200-week moving average actually acted as the bottom at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019 of this entire drop, okay? Right around that $3,000 to $4,000 level, that is where, you know, it touched here and basically it's up, okay? That was basically where the market said, okay, yeah, this is definitely the bottom. So again, I don't think, you know, since we already have so many bullish confirmations here, I think basically here, this 50-week moving average and the very lowest, this upward structural trend line has to be the bottom. Now remember, this 200-week coincided perfectly with the bottom of this structure line during this time, okay? Now currently, the 200-day is very much below this line. Now, basically what I'm saying is, if we would ever get anywhere near this price here, that would be absolutely catastrophic for the market. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's the case, but we have to remember this structure line now is very much so above this line. So if we remain healthy and really get a bounce, because again, this bounce lined up perfectly with the 200-week moving average and this structure line. Now the structure line currently, the very lowest again, 78, 7,700 US dollars. So that's absolutely key to look at there. So we go back, guys, this has been a key line, okay? This goes back years and years. And it looks very much so as this time is going on. This actually looks very, very good and optimistic for the market. The fact we got that mega bounce after touching here. We got a bounce actually touching here. For this inverse head and shoulders, when we did touch there, we got a mega bounce out of there as well. So now as time goes on, this line gets higher and higher. So like say we come here in like another month or so, 8,000 would have to be the very bottom, okay? We haven't gone below this line. And then basically as well on this daily chart, this is very interesting to see. Remember the golden cross here, and then also the 200-day moving average is right where that 50-week moving average is as well, right around that $8,800 level. So guys, we have to see what happens here. We're getting a bounce now. Is this the bottom, or in fact, do we have to be very cautious and look out for these gaps? We see some alts recovering nicely on these bounces actually, and it's very interesting to see. You see huge wicks on a lot of these altcoins. And guys, we really have to wait. Again, I think for the most part, we saw some massive bloodshed today. And we have a lot of serious, this is insane. I saw people all over Twitter saying, you know, this is like the perfect buy zone for them. They just went all in at this because it dropped so much. But guys, definitely want to hear your comments below. And as well, thanks for everyone. We did upload the members video a few hours ago. Thanks so much for everyone that joins. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.